Yo, yeah, g'day my suckies, it's JuzzyQ7 here, bringing it back and forward again with a new video. I was just reflecting with my mate then, like, what we were like in primary school, and, when we were chatting, a little certain memory popped up about what I did in primary school when I was going through that, hormonal age of, turning to, the 12y state, just just when it's generally a little bit more feisty in a person's life. And I did something pretty tragic that afterwards I actually cried about. I don't really cry, but like at this point in time I did, and I cried about doing this. This was pretty damn mean, and I do regret it, but at the same time I don't because it changed my life and who I was friends with in the future. So, skipping back like many years, back in primary school, probably when I was in grade 5 or so, we were, chilling as we do. We headed out for the Oval at lunch and recess. I started playing a little bit of cricket with the boys, just had a fun time, but I didn't really like cricket that much. I only liked bowling because I could throw balls at people. Don't judge me. Oh yeah, smacking bulls is fun too, by the way. But pretty much one lunchtime, we were all just having a blast playing the game, and my mate came up to me and he was eating his sandwich and then he accidentally dropped it on the ground, and it was no regular sandwich. It was like a meaty fella. It had some meat and it had some what's it? A little bit of butter, and you know how buttery and grassy and meaty things get when you drop them on the grass. You don't want to touch that once you've dropped it. It's kind of sticky, it's kind of gross, but you kind of have to deal with it anyway. So I dropped my friend dropped the sandwich on the ground, not me. Um, and it was gross, and we left it there. And for some reason, that this day in particular, I had some weird like hatred against this guy. He was not very nice that day, and he recognized it himself later on. But he was not being a nice guy. I think we were just like picking on each other. We were just calling each other names, and you know how offended a 12-year-old or 11-year-old can kind of get. It's really easy. So I was offended, he was offended, and we kind of just kept on going at each other's necks and making ourselves more and more angry towards each other. So I think this guy wanted to also show off to all the other guys as well, and he got really, really pissed off at me. Well, not really, but he was trying to be joking and pissed off at the same time. And he threw this sandwich at me, and I thought this was pretty disgusting. I thought it was awful. I thought it was the worst thing that had happened since like what's it? The Sonic movie was announced. That was an awful tragedy. So I thought it was awful, and he came up to me, threw the sandwich, it stuck to my back, and I was so angry and hormonal that I tackled this boy down. And I grabbed the sandwich that was again on the ground, covered even in more grass, with that little bit of a sticky, grassy, salami, buttery mess that it became, and I shoved it down his throat. I pushed that sandwich as far as I could, not making him choke, but he coughed a little as this disturbed looking sandwich like plastered into his mouth. And it's not really every day that you expect a small kind of kid to come and push a sandwich down your mouth. I swear I'm not normally like this, but in this day especially, I was just really angry. And then after realizing what I did, like I stood up and looked down at the guy who was kind of like, you know, destroyed from the inside, with the sandwich inside his mouth. And then I ran off. I was a real strong kid, you know? I ran off because I felt horrible. And then I felt even worse, and I thought about what I had just done. I had just ended this man's whole career. His popularity was down the drain. Who wants to, like, be friends with that kid who had the sandwich pushed down his throat? Uh, oh, whoa. You know, it kind of reminds me of that Diary of a Wimpy Kid cheese touch. Yeah, yeah, he had the grassy sandwich touch. No one want that. No one wanted to touch the boy because he was a grassy sandwich kid. Anyway, I had a chat with him about 10 minutes, 15 minutes later, bawling my eyes out, and I said, I'm so sorry, man. That was so dumb of me. I can't believe I did that. And he was like, man, I'm really barely mad. I'm like, sorry. And then he apologized for throwing the sandwich at me. And yeah, he was not very in a good state. And apparently he started, well, I became friends with him later. Let's say that. And he told me, he opened up to me and he told me that he had actually gone home that night. He told his mom and he almost like cried about it for nights, like just because of that whole incident. He'd been humiliated a bunch, like in front of everyone, and he'd had this sandwich down his throat. And I didn't really think too much of it for ages until he reminded me of it. And yeah, honestly, it wasn't a good idea to do, but like because of this, I actually got to know him very well, and we played Minecraft together. We went through high school together. It was not really a bad idea to shove a sandwich down his throat just because of those memories that we made afterwards. But like, it's a bad idea in the case. It was good overall, bad at the time. So, lesson here to be learned is don't go around shoving sandwiches down mouths, but do at the same time because you can definitely make some good friends just by getting a little bit of a grassy sandwich and pushing it down his mouth. You know. Further reflecting on this, there was actually another incident that had occurred with his brother maybe 2 years after, where his brother threw a Zupa Duper at me. Those little ice creams in Australia. He threw it at me, and so what I did was I chased him down and slapped him with the Zupa Duper, and then I was like, "Whoops, I just did that." So as a hormonal teenager, you kind of do these dumb things, and I became friends with him as well, and we catch up. Well, occasionally we just chat. So it's kind of like beat people up, be friends with them after if you're a good guy. Yeah. Anyway, I think I'm gonna call it quits for today with this video. Hope you guys are having a fabulous day so far. Just enjoying every minute of it. Playing your video games, I don't know, doing makeup or whatever you feel like doing. Uh, yeah, I'll catch you in the next one, my suckies.